Hello everyone, my name is Yumin Chen and I'm from OriginLab technical support team. And in this webinar, I'm going to talk about the batch plotting features in Origin. So hopefully this webinar will help you with your daily work. So basically in this webinar, I'm going to cover these topics. So first of all is the customization of batch plotting. So sometimes you already make many plots, and you want to customize them in a batch. And there are a couple of techniques here that you may want to try. You can batch customize layers in one graph, or you can customize multiple pages all at one time. And second, I will talk about batch graph plotting. So sometimes you make a graph and you did some customization of the graph. Then once like new data comes in, either the data are saved or they saved in a worksheet, or the data are like in the data files. Then you can duplicate the graph with the new data. And I will show you that later. Then in the last, and I will show you how to do batch graph exportation. So I will just show you some of the options in the export graph dialog, and I will also show you how to export graphs during batch processing. Okay, so now let's check each topic one by one. First is the common display. Okay, so take this graph as example. So this graph has 4 layers, and each layer has a like a XY data plots, and each one has a group plot with 6 data curves. Okay, so if we want to make some change of the first graph, for example, if I just increase the font size, you notice that it will not affect other layers. Okay, so what if I want to change the format of 4 layers all together? So here's a common display settings in the page level. So if I double click on the graph and go to the page level on the left and go to the layers tab on the right, then under this common display panel, there are a couple of check boxes. Okay, so you can specify which properties of the layer you want to share between multiple layers. And for example, like the axis scales and how the axis font tick label is shown, like axis styles. So you can also click this button and it will open up the help page, and it will show details of what each checkbox is cover. Okay, I'll just simply show you this. Okay, so for example, in this case, I will just select layer property and axis style, axis scale. No, I'm not going to check axis scale. So plot properties, because the axis scale is different from layer to layer. And the layer range here I just set it to the all the layers in the graph. So let's see. Now if I decrease the size of the font, you see the axis tick labels font are all changed altogether, right? This is how this setting is working. And I can also change the color list of the curve. For example, I just change one. So let me choose a different color list, and you will see the color list for the um, other layers are changing accordingly. So this is the how to change the plot format for all the layers. What if I want to change the size of the layers altogether? So for now, you see the size of the layer cannot be changed altogether, right? Okay, here's some settings we need to do. Again, let me double click on the layer, and go to the Link Axis Scales tab. So first of all, I want to link all the layers together. So I will link the layer 2 to layer 1, and repeat that for layer 3 to layer 1 as well. Layer 4, link it to layer 1 as well. Then the second setting is go to the size tab. So right now the drop down of the units is another option here, the percentage of linked layer. Okay. So right now the size and the position of the second, third, and fourth layer is relative to the first layer. Okay. Let's repeat that for the layer 3 and the layer 2 or layer 4. Click apply. Now if I resize the layer, see what happens. The size and the position of all other layers are changing according with reference to the first layer. Okay. Last thing is there are some individual text objects on the graph. For example, like this um, indicator of the graph. We can't use the common display to change those font altogether. But we have this app called Font Changer. I already downloaded it from our App Center. You can click this button to download different apps into your Origin. So let's see how this works. If I click the Font Changer, okay, so again, there are multiple options here. So for example, in this case, I will just change the font size for the other text objects. Okay, let's give it a larger size. Click the preview. So you will see all the text objects will be affected by this setting. Of course, you can select all and check the preview to see all the text on the graph can be adjusted by this app. Okay. Once you're satisfied with the result, click Create to create this new graph. Okay. Now let's go to our next example, theme preview. Okay, so in this case, we have 4 graphs. So the four graphs, they are in individual windows. They are not in one graph window. So that the page level setting, the common display, cannot be used in this case. So if we want to, for example, do some change of the format of one graph, how can I apply that change to all other graphs? So let me show you the trick here. So let's first do some change of the graph. First, for example, I decrease the size of the label, and I can change it to a different color list. Just choose this one, okay? And maybe make the font size bigger. Yeah, I can use the mini toolbar to do the formatting. Okay. So right now, I want to apply this format to all other graphs. So in Origin, we have this concept called theme. So basically, if I first copy the format, let's see, I want to copy all the format from this layer. So I just click All. So once I copy the format is copied into a graph format theme. So in Origin, the theme is like a group of the graph properties, which can be used to apply to other graphs. You can save the theme into a file and load the theme and use that in the future. Okay, so if I now go to the Edit, Paste Format Advanced. Okay. So right now the theme is saved in the clipboard, and you can click this drop down to expand the theme. So the theme is like a tree structure. Okay, it stores every detail of the format of the graph. You can change the each settings here, but I don't recommend you to create a theme from scratch. So usually we just make changes on the graph, then save the the graph format into a theme. Okay. Now, if I want to apply the theme to all other graphs, I can just go to the bottom left and change the scope to all graphs in this folder. Okay. Then, yeah, I want to apply that to all the layers, but it doesn't matter too much because I only have one layer for each graph. Then I click apply. Yeah, you will see that the graphs format are applied to all the other windows. Okay. Another thing I'm going to show you is this theme preview app. What is good about this app is that you can choose different system theme. Yeah, if you navigate different system theme, and you will see a preview that thing is doing on this graph. And if you want to apply the theme, you just select the theme, and again you can select the scope of the graphs and click apply, and the theme will be applied to all the graph on this folder. Okay. Yeah, there are many themes in this app that you can choose from. Like this is the axis theme. Like is a particular theme for the box chart, and a different color scale, color scheme. Okay, you can choose from. You can also save a theme, and you can select from your customized theme. Okay. Let's go to our next example. Fitted. This is sometimes people want to make multiple graphs, and on each graph they want to do some analysis. For example, they want to do a fitting, and they want to add the fitting curve to every graphs. Okay, let's see this example. This is the automobile data. So each row is showing one car of the certain year and a certain brand, and the performance of each car. Okay, so what if I want to check the relationship between the power and the engine displacement for the car in each year? Okay, we can here use the graph maker tool. So let me first go to plot. Then I just click the graph maker button. And here you can drag each column from left to right. So here I want to check the relationship between power and the engine displacement. Okay, so of course you can select different graph types. And once I selected these two columns, it shows the scatter plot on the right. So next I want to check this relationship between different years. Okay, then I just drag a year into the vertical panel setting here. So like you see 4 panels are generated, and for each panel it shows each year. Now I want to do some, for example, I want to do a polynomial fitting for all 4 panels. I can check this fitting box, and the polynomial order I can set it to 2, for example. And I want to show the confidence band, prediction band. Okay, I can change the settings. I will maybe change the color to green. Set the transparency as well. And I want also to show the equations and R squares. Okay. Now we see the relationship between the 2 variables for each year, and the fitting result are also shown on the graph. Okay. So click OK to generate the plot. Okay, you may say, okay, the font size might be too large. Remember, we have this font changer app. We just simply select all the font and change it to a smaller value, for example. Okay, now it looks better. then just click Create. Yeah, this is just some. I just show you a technique to make multiple graphs and to do a polynomial fit on those graphs. Now let's see another example. Here I have 4 Gaussian curves. I want to first plot out these four curves. Then I want to do a Gaussian fit on each of them. So yeah, there are many different ways to do it. So here I will just show you one way to do it. So I select 4 columns and go to plot, and let's see, multiple panel. I will use multiple panel by label plot type. So okay, so by default the plot type is scatter. That's good. I just making scatter plot. The plot by long name. Okay, that's good. Yeah, just leave it the default settings and click OK. So if I use a multiple panel plot type, the 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 common display settings, I showed you before, the common display settings, you see these boxes are all checked, and the common display is applied to all 4 layers. Okay, and if I change the settings of the individual curve, it will affect all the other plots. Right? Okay, I can click this anti-alias setting to make the graph look smoother. Okay. Now I'm going to fit a Gaussian curve on its plot. I can go to Gadget and Quick Fit, Peak Gauss. Okay. If I use this Gadget tool, the ROI box, the region of interest box, will apply to one curve. Okay. Then here's the one trick. So if I click this triangle button, and I can select new output for all layers. Okay. So it will do the Gaussian fit of all the graphs that's on the page. Okay. So for now, I don't want the null table. I just want to show the fitted curve. Okay. I'll just delete these and then just close the box. I can change the curve color to blue and make it a sticker. You see all 4 layers format are changed altogether. Yeah, just make the graph to align the legends better. Okay. Let's go to our next example. Batch plotting. Okay, so in this workbook, I have multiple worksheets. So each worksheet contains the same data structure data, right? So each worksheet contains multiple XY data, and shows the measurement of sensor A, B, C, D. Okay, this is just the same structure for all the worksheet. Okay, so if I first, for example, I just highlight the first 4 XY data sets and make a line plot. Okay, then I want to repeat this plot for all the other worksheets. I can use this duplicate graph batch plotting feature. Okay, I just right click on the title bar and select duplicate. So in this case, I'm batch plot with other sheet. So I choose sheet here, and so for this example, I just for example, I just want to repeat for the other 3 worksheets, and I want to plot the selected to individual graphs. Okay. Let me click OK. So you see the same first four data sets of each sheet are plotted. Let me merge them together. I merged the all four graphs into one big graph. I can make sure to uncheck this box, so I don't want the source graphs to be kept. Click OK. Okay. I can change the legend to make it show not only the column long name but also the worksheet name. Let's see the legend update legend. In the here I select custom. Okay, so legend custom format. I can click this triangle and let me find this sheet display name. Okay, I put the sheet name in front of the column long name. Just click apply. Now it's more clear, right? So this is from worksheet step 1, and this is from worksheet step 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Okay, this is the one graph I'm going to make. Let's next to see a more complicated case. So if for example, I want to plot the first data set of each worksheet into one layer. Okay. Then I want to plot the second data set of all sheets into a second layer. So how can I do that? Let's see. Let me first choose the first four data set and go to plot. This time I'm going to make a 4-panel plot. Okay. Again, I can change I can update the legend. Where I use customer here and change the legend format to sheet display name. Okay, click apply. Now you see that the different columns of the same worksheet are plotted. This. Okay. Okay, let's see what we do next. If I now right-click on the graph title and select duplicate with batch plotting, again, I'm going to repeat this for all the other worksheets. Let's see, this time I choose all the worksheets. So instead of plot them into individual graphs, I will plot them to the active graphs. So basically, I will add the plots of all other sheets into this existing graph. Let's click OK. So what's nice about this is um, the curves on each worksheet, the data on each worksheet are added to the existing graph and at the right place. So for the first graph, it plotted the sensor A for all the worksheets, and for the second layer, the sensor B for all the worksheets. Okay, you can see the difference between these two graphs. Okay, let's check another example now. Batch plotting app. So this is again the automobile data set, and for example, I use one column to make this half violin plot. Yeah, you can click on the graph to see which column is used to make the plot. So this time I'm gonna duplicate this graph with other columns. Yeah, I can simply use this duplicate feature, I can also use one app here called batch plotting. Let me bring up this app. It will give us a preview of this plot on this in this panel. So to do batch plotting, you can use the template from an existing graph, and you can also use a template from your template library. So for this example, we already make the graph, so I just use the existing graph. And I'm going to plot with new column in this case. Right? And so the column in this worksheet are listed here, and you can choose from. Of course, you can select each column and check the preview. So this button to navigate each column. Okay. If I want to duplicate the graph with these three columns, I just select them and make sure you want to plot these into individual graphs. Okay. After all the settings, you click plot. And you see the same graph is plotted without the columns. Okay, okay, let's see a more complicated example. So this page has 4 layers. Okay, so the first one has a double wide chalice plot. So if I click on the data, you will see which column is used to make the plot. And this is a split violin plot. It uses column F. And this is using the column of power and engine displacement to make the scatter plot. I can first save this graph as a template. If you want to use this in batch plotting, you need to save it as a clonable template. Make sure this checkbox is checked and give it a name. My template. Okay. Now let me fire up this app. So in this case, if you look at the worksheet, it contains this workbook contains 3 worksheets. I want to duplicate this graph with other worksheet. And in this time, I will use a clonable template. Okay, then the template name is here. I just saved it as my template. If you have other templates, you can choose from the drop down. I will choose a different worksheet. And click plot. And close. So you see the same graph format is applied to other worksheet and make graphs. Okay. Now let's go to next example. So sometimes you have like multiple data files, and in this case, you import one data file into the worksheet and make the graph from that worksheet. And the next thing you want to do is, okay, I want to import other data files into the origin, then make the same graph. So one thing we can use is to use the clone import feature in origin. So every time a file is imported into the worksheet, the import settings are saved in this worksheet. Then I can sort of like duplicate the worksheet, then import other data file with the same settings. Okay, so right now here the graph and the workbook are separate, but I can embed the graph into the worksheet so that the graph can be a part of the worksheet. Then I do the clone import, then the graph will be generated automatically. So there are multiple ways to embed the graph in the worksheet. So first thing is you can add a graph as a sheet, as a new sheet. So the graph is added to the workbook as a new sheet. Right? Another way is you can embed the graph into worksheet as a floating graph. So if you right-click into the gray area and click Add Graph, so the graph will be embedded as a floating. You can resize and move it around. Okay, now let's see how I can do the clone import. So let's go to the data, import from file, go to sorry, it's not here. Oh, it's here, sorry. Clone import. Let's find the, because this is data F1. I will just repeat that for data F2 and F3 and add files, click OK. So in this import ASCII dialog, make sure now the template name is clone. So it tells the user that I'm using the existing worksheet to do the import, and I want for the extra data files I will import it into new books. So make sure the multiple file import mode is set to start new book. Okay, let's click OK. Okay, so the data is imported into different workbooks. Each book contains embedded graph. So I can sort of merge the graphs, merge all three embedded graph together. See here, this triangle button, when you click it, you can select different scales, different scopes. In this case, it's already selected these three graphs. We can also use this include embedded to make sure the embedded graph are listed as well. Okay, so click OK. And I can use the font changer tool to make the fonts larger. Okay. Okay, now let's go to next example. Batch plotting involve analysis. So in Origin, we can do some analysis from the raw data. So each time, so take this workbook as example. So we have three columns here. So the column C is the measurements, and the column A is the person to do the measurements, and column B is the period of the therapy. So I can run some analysis. In this example, I do a repeated ANOVA analysis on this data. Then I generate a result sheet. Then I use the output data, the result data, to make this nice graph. So this again is an embedded graph as a new sheet. Okay, so for now I have another measurements. Okay, I want to repeat this repeat ANOVA analysis and generate that graph. So I can use the batch process method to handle this. So right now I have this the analysis process. I can save this as an analysis template. So I right-click on the title bar and click Save as Analysis Template. Let's save it to desktop, for example. My template. Okay. Now I go to File and Batch Processing. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to load an analysis template. Okay. I go to the desktop, find this my template. analysis template is loaded, I'm going to use existing range. Okay. When I load the data from this worksheet into this worksheet, so the first two columns I don't want to change, right? I just want to load the measurements column one by one. So in this case I'll use the existing range as a data source. So the fixed range I will use the first two. And sorry, I might need to choose from the data. And for the batch range, I will going to choose the so this other two columns. So the import sheet is the data sheet. Okay, I select data, and for the result sheet, I will set it to none because I want the entire um, analysis to be done, and I don't want to check the summarized output, so I don't want a result sheet. Let me click OK. Okay, let's go check the graph. Yeah, you see the different data sets are imported into this analysis template and make different result graphs. Okay. Let's go to our next example. Export graph in batch. So remember, we can duplicate these graphs with new workbooks. So for example, I can right-click, can batch part with book. So I have multiple workbooks with the same data structure, same number of worksheet. Right? So I just choose the other three workbook, and I want to plot them into individual graphs. Okay. Then I want to export the graphs in this folder. Then I go to File, Export Graphs. So in this case, I will choose a PDF. And I can select the graphs from in this case, I can select all in active folder. Okay. So all the graphs in this folder will be listed. So when you export to a PDF, you can choose to export into one PDF file with multiple pages. If you check this box, if I uncheck this, it will just export to individual files. For file name, I can just use the graph long name, and for now I just export to desktop. I just want to mention that you can also, if you choose the graph scope to specified, then you can open this graph navigator dialog. Okay, then you can select from all the graphs in this project, preview them, and add them to the exported list. Okay. So if you don't want the graph to be in the list, just back. Okay. And in this case, I will export to multiple PDF files. Click OK. We'll see these graphs are exported to the desktop. Okay. Let's see our last example. This is a useful feature which is requested by a customer. So he wants he has like multiple data sets. In this case, he has 3 data sets, and he wants to do a batch plotting. He wants to do a batch processing on all these 3 data sets. And if we look at this analysis template, So this is a okay. For example, this is data 3. It's loaded in the analysis template, and in this result worksheet, it contains um, two graphs. So he wants to do the batch processing, and during the batch processing, the graph, for example, the data 3 graph, the fitted curve graph, is exported into to image file. Yeah, we can, of course, we can do this after finish the batch processing. Then we bring up each graph and export individually. But that takes more work. So what if I want to export the graph during the batch processing? Let's see how we can do that. If I first let me just activate this result sheet, and I go to File, Export, Export Graphs. Notice that these two embedded graphs are listed in this export graph range. Let me change to PDF. Okay, so I just want to export one graph in this case, so I change that to specified. And move the second graph, and the file name I can, for example, just a graph index as the file name. Okay. Yeah, we are sure that if I click OK, then this embedded graph will be exported. Okay, but what we do next is I want to generate a laptop script from this setting. So just click this triangle button and click Generate Script. Okay, the script is generated. So basically, if you highlight this one-line script and click Enter, it will just do the exportation same way as you do in the GUI dialog. Okay, so now I just select this script and save it. Control C to save it. Now I will do batch processing. Okay. First of all, I will let you take to mention this feature called a script. So here is a script after each process. So this is this is nice that after each data set is loaded into the analysis template and finish the process, you can do some afterwards afterwards tasks. So in this case, I will just paste that script that I just made to export the graph. So once each process is done, then the graph is going to be exported. Okay, I just put the laptop script here. In this case, I'm not using an analyst template. I just repeatedly import data into this existing template. Okay, and in this case, data source, I will use the XY data set because I'm doing linear fitting on XY data. So for import data, I'm going to choose, so the data 3 is already used to make the template. So I just choose data 1 and data 2. And yeah, you can specify a dataset identifier. The designation is auto. Data sheet is the linear fit. And the result sheet is the result sheet here. And you can, of course, you can append the result by rows. Yeah, let's see what happens if I just click OK. So it says, let's see, okay. Okay, once the process is done, something wrong with the, let me double check. Okay, I see. So let me export the graph again. File, export graphs. Okay, let me here choose desktop and the PDF. Move the second unwanted graph. Change that to graph index. Okay. Then click here to generate a script. I think it's not working because I didn't set the export path properly. Let me do the batch processing one more time. Okay, so the other settings are the same. So repeatedly importing the existing template, and the import I will choose the data 1 and data 2. And data sheet, yeah, just make sure all the settings are correct. Okay, let's do it again. And let me check. Export the graph. So sorry, bear me for a minute. Yeah, I can apply to see if this exported. Okay. Just to double check if the graph. Okay, this time it's exported properly. Okay. Repeat import into existing graph. Wait, and import choose 2, and all the other settings should be fine. Let's try this one more time. Okay. Okay, now it says the. Okay, so first time it export the graph into the file with name graph1. So next time it will export it with the same name. Then I can just let it to rename this file. So I just select no. Okay. Now if I go back to this desktop, I will see the two graphs as exported. Okay. Okay, so I think I will conclude for this webinar. Sorry about that, because the first time I recorded this webinar, the audio quality is not good. So then this time I just record it again. So thank you for attending this webinar, and please let us know if you have more questions. Thank you. Bye-bye.